Give her the link so that she can do it like direct. But anyways,
Yeah, because
Lou
it
is
says
the
that I can,
absolute
because I have a
goat.
StreamYard already.
All right, so what
I
you need
already
to
have a
do,
StreamYard
and we'll
account,
tell
so it lets
everybody
me
at the same
stream
time
it
because we're live now.
directly anyway.
What you do
Oh, we're
is
live.
you
Hello.
log in to you leave the room, right? You log in with your StreamYard, and then you follow the guest link, and when it lets you back in, you can actually share it to all your social medias.
Okay, all right, yeah, because it lets me. Yeah, it's letting me do it now because I'm already logged
Oh,
in.
so you're there? Oh yeah, go ahead, right? Usually we
Okay.
got to tell people to go and come back.
Nope, I'm already logged in.
All right, cool.
We're Gucci.
Yeah, so StreamYard added this, so everybody is on base with where we are right now. StreamYard added this new feature recently, about a month or two ago, where if anybody's on StreamYard and they're logged into their account and they come onto your show, all they have to do is press the button on the top, and it allows the guest, to share it to their social media at the same time.
I think what most people are probably wondering is what happened that caused us to have a part 2. Lou is the GOAT.
Oh, Shadow Rabbit is really a shadow, and when he came in, he just made everything go into shadow.
Man is so powerful, he destroyed the stream with a single button.
I gotta say, that's not the worst thing that's happened to us. So.
Oh no, it's not. It's just the funniest thing that's happened.
I gotta admit, it is the funniest way that we've lost connection.
It was a canon
Usually, what
event.
happens is I lose my here, and everybody else is talking while I'm gone. Tania, take 2 on this. We were just talking about the point of view aspect of things. Do you remember where we were?
No.
I'm surprised I remember the point of view.
No, but I got at least 2 new stories in my head from that.
You gotta love live TV, folks, because that's exactly what this is. Live TV. Oh my god. But I kind of get where you were coming from with the point of view. We were talking about the fact that sometimes people want us to change our point of view. There we go.
Right.
For what we're writing, and it's not that simple to change the point of view. It kind of changes the story.
It does. It changes the perspective and the amount of emotion you're feeling and who you're feeling it from. It can make it personal or distant. The point of view has so much to do with it. I think that's why sometimes when I write that first chapter, I change point of views to see which makes more sense.
I know what you're talking about because I've done that myself. Sometimes you'll write something and you go, well, see, that's part of the original process. Once you finish that process and you've done this whole thing in a certain point of view, it's really difficult to come back and redo it in another point of view, because I find more often than not, it changes into a whole other story.
Yes. Yeah, that the whole emotion of it changes. Yeah. For first person, I have a hard time reading. It takes me a couple of chapters to get into it because I know everybody says it feels personal, and to me it doesn't feel personal, because if the character says they were mad at the girlfriend, and my brain is going, why? I wouldn't be mad. Maybe a little upset. You're overthinking this.
Oh,
but out of third person makes more sense. He was mad at his girlfriend. Okay, good for you. You were mad.
I find like I like writing in first person. I like writing but I write shorts, so it's a little easier for me. I'm not writing a full story. I'm writing this smidge of a person's life where they're upset or where something's happening to them personally. So it's easier that way because I'm not continuing the whole story, in that one point of view. So
right.
To me, I'm like, okay, I'm just telling the story. So then, I'm in, I'm out.
Right.
There's times where I'll sit there and go, okay, if I'm writing this in the first character's point of view and the character's point of view, or whoever's point of view it is, because sometimes it's not the main character that's the point of view of the story. It's the person, the side character or whoever it is. But they start to know stuff they shouldn't know.
Right.
And then I'm like, how do you get away with that? Yeah. And I know it's a way to do it, but at the same time, you sit there going, okay, so there's a frame of mind, there's a story element that character is not going to know about because he's not present, so he doesn't
Right.
know all everybody else is thinking, so that whole story gets told from this point of view, and you sit there going, all right, so you can't say this and you can't say that, and this needs to happen, but now how does it happen without him saying how it happened?
I use the word assume a lot. he appeared to be angry or something that the character can only make an assumption about.
I think they're angry at me.
Yeah. You can't completely know, but in the book I'm writing, I have one female main character, but I have two very strong other female characters who might not be the main character, but they're right up there. And to try and do a first person point of view is too difficult when I've got chapters that are strictly devoted to them.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Eventually they're all going to intermingle, and who's the first person point of view in there. I find it harder in fantasy. I have written first person. I took a stab at romance one time. It's still up in a shelf and it'll never see the light of day. But first person worked well for that.
I guess that's one of the reasons why people like first person in past tense. Because now we know that he lived through this, or they lived through this already, and now they can tell the story because they're telling you the story after the fact. I guess that's the cheat.
Yeah. Yeah, present tense is a little weird. I just read one recently, and it took me a while. I got there, but it took me a while to get my head wrapped around that. It's kind of like a first player game. You're in it. Yeah.
And that's why the first player games or the RPGs don't usually tell you the story, what the character's thinking, because it's you. So they don't tell you you're thinking this.
Yeah, through it.
Like, you know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I really wanted to have you on because I knew that it'll be these type of really deep writing conversations. Which
I love having. Nobody else in my house has these with me. My daughter does, but she doesn't believe me.
That's how it is, though. My daughter's like half a writer, so she's like, okay, and then she walks away. I'm like, come back.
Yeah, no, my daughter is full on writer. She's a genius, but she does not believe me about it. And I throw ideas off of her, and she's brutally honest.
Sometimes that's what we need, but sometimes that can mess things up.
Yeah, no, she's brutally honest. Like, you can't do that. You can't say that. I'm like, I can say anything I want. I'm writing it.
It's my story, yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to be a banned book. Okay. That's fine, too.
I know what you're talking about, because there's times where I'll let somebody read something, and they're like, well, Ralph, this and this and this and this. I'm like, I don't care. I let you read it because, I want to see what you think. But at the same time, I don't care what you think.
And I just I downloaded Pro Writing Aid, which has been great. It's wonderful. But it stops me sometimes, and I'm kind of thrown off kill a little bit. It's like, this word is typically not accepted anymore. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What? Stop it. No, stop. Just don't read it.
That word in that way. I'm like, I'm using the word I want in whichever
way. I can't think of any other way. It gives me 3 other words that mean the same thing. So explain that to me.
And it's funny because you're like, okay, so if I'm using this word and it means the same as those other words, then why can't I use this word?
Exactly. Like, now let's just pretend I don't know that.
Writing is an interesting life.
It is definitely interesting.
Now,
and everybody who's like, oh, you're a writer, they think you live in a mansion. I'm like, really? I live in a fixer-upper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's always this mythology on how writers are and what they do and how they live and how everything happens. And it's like this magical la-la land of writing. And I'm like, where are you getting these ideas?
Yeah, from TV.
Exactly.
From like the 4 big names that everybody knows.
Oh, Stephen King. Stephen King's been doing this for a long time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, Naja, you are creative as well. You know, I love your Instagram and all the stuff that you do.
Thanks.
Do you approach everything maybe the way a writer does, or is what you're doing more of an inspiration that happens?
I would say definitely an inspiration. But I used funny as you guys are talking about writing, I actually used to be the president of a writing club back in my undergrad. Um, it was called A Reason to Write.
Love the name.
Uh, yeah, so that was I didn't think of the name. This name was thought of way before I became involved with the club.
Right.
But I would say that I think maybe strategically like a writer, but once there's no more logistics, I just let things flow wherever the way it comes.
Well, this is the way you got to do sometimes. You just got to go with the story. It's like what me and Tania were just saying. You got to let the voice tell you what's going on.
Yep.
You know, and I know like you do costumes as well, and you know they're really creative. I love what you do with them.
Thank you.
And I like the idea that you're doing them based on what you're thinking and how you're thinking, and you know who you are. You know, and I feel like it gives it a whole different way of approaching something that we've probably seen over and over.
Thanks. It definitely does. Like because especially because like I wear hijab and stuff like that. So and also too I dress like I guess would be considered like modestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain outfits that I have to like alter. Mostly I ask my grandma to help me alter because I am not a seamstress. My goal is to become one at some point in time and learn from her. But until then, I have to be like, Grandma, can you please hem this? Grandma, can you please alter this for me? Because Grandma, can you please take this in? Because I can't fit into this. I ordered this too big or whatever the case may be. Trying to maneuver it definitely does make me think more creatively because not just me putting on like a wig or having to style it a certain type of way or like sometimes I'll like fold my hijab a certain way to kind of make it look like the style of the hair or even certain ways that like the outfits go, whether it floofs out or if I have like a princess version of something or I have like a cottagecore version of something. So definitely makes me think more creatively, which I love to do.
And like I said, I love, you know, especially because I do it here all the time in the written writ. I love to challenge myself. I love to throw something at me that makes me think in a different way. You know, sometimes we'll do the word prompts where it's just a word, or they give me a phrase that I need to do a story with, or you know, and I live for these things because it's the moment where you're trying to be as creative as possible, as fast as possible, and try to complete whatever it is that you need to complete. And I love putting stuff together from, especially when people throw stuff. As you guys can see back here, this is this let's write a story together that we've been working on for a while. And when they threw all this stuff at us, and I had to sit there and start crafting some kind of story from it. And you know, as much as the guys still hate the corgi back there, somebody actually went with the corgi because they threw it in as a joke. And now somebody made the corgi into this heroic figure, and they're like, when is he gonna die? But the whole thing is fun. It just gets creative, and you know, limitations make you more creative. I feel like the more limitations you have, the more creative you have to be.
I agree completely about that because I'm also a poet. I do poetry. That's probably the most written thing that I do. Is poet. I do want to get back into story writing though. Definitely, it's something I want to get back into.
That's the whole thing with writers. We always want to get back to it. And people go, well, why are you always writing? Well, that's because we always want to get back to whatever we're doing. And with me, it's worse because I'm not writing one story. You know, since I write shorts, I'm never writing one story. I'm writing 4 or 5 stories because they're short, so I don't have to stay with them for too long. I can move from back and forth. Anytime I try to write a longer story, though, it gets a little more difficult, and that's why I respect you, Tania, because you actually can sit there and write these beautiful masterpieces You know, because I if I try to do that, I'm like, okay, I got this much, but then I got to tell this story over here, and you know, my mind just goes in that direction. You know, how do you keep yourself from like? Because I know you mentioned it in your TikToks. How do you keep yourself focused?
I don't.
I can tell by how you answered that. Okay, cool.
It's chaos. It's constantly chaos. I mean, I have, if you open up my file on my computer that says Tania's books, there's maybe 12 that I've started, and then one takes off. And when I get writer's block on the one that I was doing, I go pick another one until, you know, that clears up, and then I get back in to the story. So sometimes I have little things on the site that I'm doing, and I might pick them up later.
And it's funny because you know, as writers, one of the things we tell other writers is if you do get writer's block, just move on to something else. Because another myth is that we're supposed to finish this one story we're working on. Well, if you have a deadline, that's a whole other thing. But you know, most of the times we're free to do what we want. So you move on to another story, and we all know that if what ends up happening is when you're on that other story, you're going to get an idea for this story that you're working on, and then you won't get it unless you're doing that other thing.
Right. Yeah, that's the only way. It's like having bad children. You need to ignore them for a little bit, and then they make themselves known again.
Oh my God, yeah. And it is just like that, because all you hear is, look what I can do. Look what I can do. Look what I can do.
Yes.
Quiet.
Yes.
Oh, Naja, before we move on, give everybody your spiel. Everybody know what you're doing, what you do, because I just jumped into it, you know. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, all the good stuff, and what's happening this weekend as well. Go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So, hello, my name is Naja. I'm the creator of GOASI Con, aka Geek out of Staten Island. It'll be our 5th year, which is bananas for me to think about. That we'll be having our Outdoor Geek Festival, which happens in Staten Island at Snug Harbor, which is a botanical garden and cultural center. So it's going to be outdoors. We're going to have panels. We're going to have performers. We're going to have amazing artists. One of them is Fushmello. Right? We're gonna have some amazing arts, amazing pins, we have some people that are doing like some books that'll also be there. So if you're into reading and writing, definitely come on over. And this year's theme is Little Japan. So if you're interested in that, please come through. You do not have to cosplay, but cosplay is encouraged. You do not have to wear a mask, but masks are encouraged. Everything is always encouraged. But yeah, we're also gonna be having that. Oh, I completely forgot. We're going to be having outdoor games. So we're going to be having giant Jenga, giant Connect 4, giant tic-tac-toe, giant Sorry. We're going to be having like a tug of war competition. We're going to have what's called a cosplay race. So basically people racing and their cosplays. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to be having our cosplay contest and giving away tons of prizes. So if you like free stuff.
You've really expanded from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a whole different con from last year. That's good.
Yeah, we have a lot more stuff. And our panels are inside. So that's the only thing that's inside.
You do have this beautiful space, because Snug Harbor is huge. It's amazing. And I like the idea that you have certain events that are inside.
Yeah. The panels will be inside. So we have one for like building your own community. So basically how to build your own nerd community or geek community in your surrounding area. We had one panel. It was supposed to be for J Fashion and Modesty, but we won't be having it because the people got sick. They have COVID, so they won't be able to have that panel this year, unfortunately, but it's okay. We'll be having another panel involving Muslim representation in media. We'll also be having traditional Japanese dancers that'll be at the event. So they'll both be performing as well as teaching you guys how to do the traditional Japanese dance that they performed. So if you want to learn how to do a traditional Japanese dance, come on through.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've really thought about all the stuff that's going to be there. I know that I used to love to go to the Brooklyn Botanical Garden for Sakura Masuri. And I feel like there's a little bit of that going on there too.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's like some more stuff that I'm definitely forgetting about that's happening. Because there is a lot of stuff this year. I'm trying to remember. Oh, we're going to have acrobats.
Nice.
So that's also that. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to remember some more stuff as the night goes on, but we have a lot of things that we're that's going to be happening at the event this year. So there's a lot of stuff for all ages. There's going to be a cosplay contest also for the kids. So if you're under the age of 16, you can also participate in the kids cosplay contest. If you're about 16, you're going to be with like the adults and stuff like that.
Oh, this really sounds like you're like, okay, let's up this game as much as we can. I can see why you're forgetting things because you've added so much.
Yes.
And we all know, because we know enough showrunners, we know that it's not an easy job to be the showrunner. It's really stressful, and I'm always amazed at any time that a showrunner can actually do an interview with us at their show.
Yeah, I try my best to make the time when I can. As you already have seen me run like a chicken all across the 2 acres worth of space.
So are you still doing, because I know for the past couple of years, you've also had an online or streaming presence when it comes to geeking out of Staten Island. Are you still doing that this year, or have you moved away from that?
So we haven't been able to do it this year. I am pretty upfront and honest. I didn't have the time. So we did not do that this year because I was unable to be able to do 2 things at the same time. But we may have it next year. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how my time goes. But I'm pretty upfront. I did not have the time, everyone. I apologize. We may do something more virtual later on. We'll see. We might do like another geek trivia because we've been doing that for the last couple of years, every so often having like geek trivia and like people can participate and stuff like that. But other than that, we're just all in person this year for our one day.
I kind of figured that out because your panels seem a little more okay. Let's get these panels here, and let's have people talking about this here, because usually like the panels you are having are the ones that usually you have online.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you've actually made them more interactive and something that people really would want to go and check out.
Yeah, we actually have a new panel that I'm going to be announcing tomorrow, but I guess I'll be announcing it here. Yay.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. That's my sound. The horns. So we're actually going to be having a panel from this group called Keeping It 9000. So they will be putting together a panel on how to become a podcaster / content creator involving anime.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of anime stuff. It sounds interesting already.
Yeah, come on through. So we'll be having that panel. Howdy.
Our proud Son of Saints here on the side saying, howdy, Son of Saint, how you doing? You just missed all the hoopla that happened earlier.
He's the only guy crazy enough to come watch us at this hour.
Well, you know how a Son of Saint is. He's probably doing something. He actually released because La Borinqueña wanted people to do his character and their styles, and he just did a beautiful one over on his Instagram page. So go check that out. Son of Saint does some good work. And of course, if you're looking for a cover, go for Son of Saint. Tania, have you hit out the conventions? Because I notice a lot of writers, and we know a lot of writers that actually hit the conventions. Or have you considered doing that?
Yeah, way back in 2011, I hit just about everything I could hit. I did. The biggest one was the LA Times Book Festival, which was huge.
Nice. That's a big one.
Yeah, it was huge. We did some smaller conventions, and then I kind of fell off about the last 10 years. I was nurse, single mom, all the stuff kind of poured down on me. So I am back this year, and it feels like I'm starting from scratch. So
I can feel that, because it almost feels to me like, okay, let's rewind this and let's start over and let's do this again. And I feel like you're rebuilding your base.
yeah, I have to rebuild. Most of the people, I had my email list, I had my contacts, I was doing everything right. And if you fall off for a year, it just crumbles down around you. So it's a total rebuild. And once I get this book, I'm hoping for around a Christmas release. Next year, I will be cosplaying my main character.
Ooh, you're going to cosplay your main character. All right.
I will definitely hit some of the things I could find locally.
Well, Tennessee has a couple of good conventions. I know that much.
Yeah, they have some smaller ones. I think Atlanta has some of the bigger ones.
Oh, definitely. Atlanta, if you want to go over there, you're going to find some of the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. My son flies out to California. That's where we're from originally, to do, I believe it's Anime Expo in July.
And we just happened. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, next year, I will cosplay with you.
Ah, that's great. You got to make sure to take pictures and do a bunch of TikToks about it, because I can just see the audience going, "What's this?"
Yeah, who is she? Who is she supposed to be? Maybe the world will know.
I think some of my favorite things is seeing original characters at conventions, because it kind of opens up conversations. And I know some people don't like it, but I like the fact that you get this character, and it's a character, so you're sitting there, who are you? And then you get a chance to talk about your product. It's a great commercial.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think anybody will know, because she doesn't look like anybody else. So there may be questions. Who are you?
It sounds good.
Yeah. So once I can get that down, I used to speak at a couple of places, but like I said, everything is just, now it's a build back up, start from scratch.
And that's how it usually is, especially for writers. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is constant working. You're if everybody thinks once you write your book, it's done. No, it's that publishing aspect of the thing. That's where the real work begins. That's a whole other life that happens while you're trying to, even if you get your book published, there's all this stuff you need to do, especially at independent publishers.
Right. Yeah, my family jokes, "Are you on TikTok again?" Because I was so anti-TikTok for years. "Are you on TikTok again?" I'm like, you don't understand the algorithm. You have to be on there at least twice a day. It should be writing.
Yeah, that's the other thing when it comes to that. That's why, like I said earlier in the green room, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Like, Rob, you didn't post today. I don't care.
Yeah.
I went on. I did a promo. I'm off. Boom. I'm done.
Yeah. Some of mine are short. Some of mine are from CapCut.
I love yours, and I love all the stuff you do. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to keep them short. You got to have fun with it. So I do feel like the writing ones tend to get more views and more seen. When it comes to the little ones, they're fun and they get their views, but they can go viral. But I always find that it's the ones that explain writing, or the ones that you talk about writing, that seem to actually get something or go somewhere.
My one that went semi-viral didn't even talk about writing. I really just went on and told people, appreciate all of your baby steps and don't look at everybody else. If you opened your computer today and you wrote chapter 1, it was an accomplishment. If you got a 2-star review, you got a review. Other people didn't get reviews. It's an accomplishment. And that went semi-viral overnight.
It makes sense though, because I feel like that's what people are looking for. They're looking for the nitty gritty, the simple stuff of writing, because I feel like and we know this as writers, we overcomplicate writing, and sometimes that's not a good thing, because it puts us in a place where we're not going to get anything done.
Well, and we compare ourselves to the other people. You know, I just got picked up by a publishing house, or I wrote 10,000 words last night, and I'm like, I thought about the first sentence for a while. Or you know, I sold 1,000 books, and you're like, I sold one in the last month. So it was a lot for me to remind myself to celebrate the little things that are happening, because if you take all the little things, they build up into something bigger.
Yeah, they do. You know, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's supposed to take the little steps, move forward, keep going forward. You know, and that's why when I give the advice of just write, it's a small step. The more you write, again, the more you write, the then you can see what you're doing. Then you can see. I lost myself there for a minute. Yeah, okay. Then you can see exactly what you're doing. You can't do anything if you don't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, you got to write in order to know if you made a mistake. You got to write in order to know if it's good. You got to write in order to know if it's bad. So you write. It doesn't even have to be anything major. Just write something.
Yeah, I was thrilled that one person I didn't know about my book, and that was my big, back in 2011, my big step for me. That was I have arrived. Somebody I didn't know purchased something I wrote. I'm good. We're good.
Shadow Rabbit is saying, I'll just say hi from here this time.
No, come back. Make another goated move.
Problem. Don't worry about it. He goes, love you all. Go to Geek Out at Staten Island. Of course, we're all going to be there this weekend having fun. I was going to ask you, Naja, we were talking about original characters. Have you ever cosplayed anything original to yourself that maybe you created?
Technically, I've cosplayed a background character in a story that I'm still writing.
Nice.
So it was just, I had like a purple hijab on and like black and white striped top and like a black poofy like tulle skirt. And I literally had a button that said I'm cosplaying as a background character. So that way people, if they're asking like who you were, like look at the button. Because they wouldn't even know, because I was a background character for a book that no one's seen because I haven't published it because I'm not done.
I find that so much fun because, you know, you got so many questions though, right?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of questions, so it was pretty cool because I wasn't expecting anyone to even ask me any questions. I thought I was just gonna like go through the convention, be like, just be happy internally. But it was actually pretty cool having other people ask me questions and what they thought about the cosplay. Be like, oh wow, like what's your book about? I'm like, well, it's about this, but it could be about this as well. I'm still working on it.
And we get you because, like we were just saying, first you got to get through the book and write it, and then once you get through the book and write it, you got to publish it, and that's a whole other animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm actually working on a book now. It's a poetry anthology, so I'm still trying to figure out what poems to put in said anthology, which is also another thing too. Because I'm like, this could go here, but this could also go here, but this would also be great here. But does this change what I'm supposed to mean by what I'm doing with this book? Does this book have any meaning at all?
Those are all the same questions I've been asking as I've been putting all my poems together, going, oh, they said to publish a book. I'll publish a book. And then there's times where you stick a poem in there and you go, that has nothing to do with any of the other poems.
No, but it's a great poem,
title. That would be a great title.
It is a great title. This has nothing to do with all the other poems in the book.
Find the one that doesn't have anything to do with each other. They all don't have anything to do with each other.
Yeah, you just trick people. You go, okay,
yeah.
There's a main theme happening in this book. Don't put a main theme at all. You go, see if you can figure it out.
Yeah, right. Make it like an adventure book, but like for them to create their own adventure, trying to figure out.
You guys are just giving me evil ideas.
The funny thing is somebody will tie it all together. There's
Yeah.
always someone who will tie it all together.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I've written certain things that mean nothing to me, and somebody will sit there and go, Ralph, it's so deep that you did this and this and this, and it means this and this and this, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
It's like, oh, and the symbolism of blue. Oh my God, you just wrap it around all together, and I'm thinking to myself, blue's my favorite color.
Exactly.
So we know exactly where you're coming from now. and it's funny because a lot of people think that you take a poetry book, you put it all together, and you're done. But I find that putting the poetry book together is even harder than putting a regular story together.
Yes, it is. Like it is really hard because at least with the story you have like, okay, I know that there's like a beginning, a middle, and an end of some sorts, right? There's a sequence. But with poems, there is, unless you're writing poems that are like a book and you're doing it in a story mode, there is no beginning, middle, or end. It's just a continuation of whatever, depending on what you're doing with that anthology.
Completely. And then I always get the other one because I don't like structured poems. I usually do free form poems.
Same.
And somebody will read them and go, "This ain't a poem. Where's the rhyming?"
Yes, I'm actually really bad at rhyming.
So am I. Don't worry.
So I can't. I'm like a cat in a hat rhymer. I can't rhyme anywhere past like maybe grade school level.
And it's funny because I love words. I love even though the English language is really complex and people think it's easy, but no, it's really complex. You know, just take 2, 2, and 2 and try to figure that one out. You know, and I find that with English, you can just say things and then people will go, well, that doesn't mean that. And I'm like, well, go look at the definition. You tell me then after you read the definition, am I using the word the way you think I'm using it, or am I using it in another way?
But that's what makes it kind of more creative sometimes too, because of the way that you use the word, or like, especially depending on if you're like, there's people who I know that combine languages, so they might use one language for one part of the poem or a story, and might use another language for another part. That is a different skill level that I don't know if I'll ever reach, but I think that's really cool how language can be played with. Even they have it where like certain people who even do poems where it looks like a certain image when they write the poem out. It's really interesting what you can do with words.
Oh yeah, words are just amazing, you know, and it's funny because I feel like as people who speak English, we waste the words that we have, and they're beautiful words, and we have so many a huge vocabulary of words that we can actually use, and we use the same words over and over again. And it's funny because I always run into people that are like, oh, speak English, and I'm like, I don't think you can speak English. You know, and I'm like, what? You know, Tania, you're bilingual, right?
No.
You're not bilingual?
You would think it? No.
I would think it. Yeah, you look Spanish.
Yeah, Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I figured. Okay.
Yeah. No bilingual.
I was gonna ask you, because I people make it sound like and I always think it's funny that anybody who speaks 2 languages and then mix them up together, you know, like Spanglish, everybody acts like that's easy or they're just being lazy or something. No, it's really difficult. They just do it as a matter of fact, but I find that it's difficult to speak Spanglish. You gotta have your mind in 2 different worlds to be able to do that. Because I've tried to create characters that spoke Spanglish, and it doesn't come out right.
My grandma, she's great at Spanglish, and I know what she's saying. I mean, we always say, why don't you just speak English or Spanish? And she goes, I was speaking English. I'm like, no, there was definitely Spanish in there.
Yeah, and as a Spanish speaking person, you know, like it's funny because I would love to write something in Spanish, but at the same time, my brain will have a knish if I even try to go in that direction. because I tell people all the time I think in English, so there's no Spanish thoughts in here.
Yeah.
I always have to translate when I'm speaking Spanish. I'm translating what I'm saying, and somebody looked at me and said, "What do you mean you're translating?" And what I am, I'm thinking in English and translating it into how to say it in Spanish.
It makes sense. I can mostly understand Spanish, but I have to flip it to English. So I might have like a hollow stare for a while it's translating.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's the same thing with dialects or accents. It takes a lot of brain work to figure out an accent and then figure out how to write the accent. Because you have to write it a certain way so that people can go, oh, he's talking in an accent, because the words change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try and stay away from that. It's just never worked out well.
Well, there's this guy in my head from the 40s, and that's the one kind of accent that I can do is the old noir type, but it makes sense to me because as a kid, what I first started reading was the detective noir stories.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were based in the 40s and 50s. So, the dame and the bloke and all that stuff just stays in my head all the time. So that comes out a little easier than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks, like I've said before, there's a little detective in my head and he's constantly doing things.
I tried to write a Southern accent and just changed it to, she said in her Southern accent. You can throw it in there, whatever accent you want.
I like putting the little stars and on the side going, spoken in such accent.
Right. Yes.
Because that's the easy way to go, folks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's too many apostrophes in there for.
Oh, here's a question for both of you, because I know where I stand on this. As a writer, and I know one of my English teacher agrees with me here, because my English teacher told me I would never be a writer. The punctuations, the grammar, all that stuff. When you're writing your book, because I definitely rely on a good editor, and I feel sorry for that editor. Are you guys able to keep up with all that stuff, or like me, do you need an editor that can come in and help you guys out? Either one of you can start.
I write the way my soul tells me to write, and sometimes my soul is a 10-year-old drunk. So my editor will clean some stuff up for me. Occasionally I get the phone calls of, did you do this intentionally? If it's in dialogue, I probably did it intentionally. I like to dialogue the way people actually talk.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, my boyfriend was reading through he was beta reading for me, and he said, I have some notes. I said, okay, go for it. And he goes, well, you've got all of these one-word sentences, and in English, it had to have a verb and noun. I'm like, no, one word. That was it. That's all you're getting. He's like, I don't think I can beta read.
I feel you, because I got a friend of mine who reads a lot of my stuff, and I'm like, why do you always do this to me? Where are the commas? Where are the apostrophes? I'm like, sometimes I do it on purpose. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah. No. I feel like there should be a comma here. That's how I go at it.
And that's how I usually do it. That's how I go, okay, I think there's a comma here, so I'll put a comma here. And then there's somebody will go, no, Ralph, a comma doesn't belong there. But I told you, I think they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I take a breath. Yes. There's a comma right there.
Yes, that's what I use. That's what I do too. If I take a breath, then a comma goes here. I think I've been going by that rule since they taught me how to do grammar.
Somebody told me that's not a rule.
It's a rule to me. Like, because the way I write too, I think is very similar to you, Tanya, where it's like whatever my soul says, that's what goes. I mean, I do that even with regular text. Like, I don't put grammar and stuff, so I just, whenever even with my poems, I have to go back and be like, what did I even mean when I wrote this? So
I know that one. Did I do that on purpose?
Sometimes I have that. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes when I have like my best friend sometimes will read my stuff over, or I'll use like Grammarly. I sometimes confuse Grammarly because they're like, did you mean this? And I'm like, I don't know. Did I mean that?
I remember
So
one
that's what
time I was
happens
using one of those
often.
programs that fixes your stuff, and it changed my thing. I'm like, no, you changed the whole meaning of the story.
Yes,
yeah.
I've had people say that's not proper English, or that's not the way it's done in English, and I have to remind them that I'm not writing in English, I'm writing in creative writing. So the rules are different.
Snaps.
Yeah,
Snaps
there are no
to that.
rules.
Snaps
and
to
I
that.
do understand that there's things, I know you guys do too, that there's things that need to be fixed and need to edit. I love what your editor does, Tanya, because somebody that was editing my stuff did, it's like same thing as the program. They went in, they fixed it, and then I read the story and I'm like, this is a whole other story.
Right.
This is a completely different story than what I wrote. And they were like, what are you talking about? Dude, read my story, then read your story. It's two different stories.
Yeah, a comma moved could change the way it's read, or just the way it sounds. And that's the whole writer's voice,
right?
Which is why you have to work with editors, so they don't go in and change the writer's voice.
Because if I made a mistake, go ahead and change it. But I like what they did. They asked you, did you do this on purpose? And most of the times we know what we did on purpose. I joke around where did I do that? No, but most of the times we know, especially if we read it, they go, oh no, that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, folks, you're getting a lot of nitty gritty here.
But I'm with you. Sometimes I've read my own stuff and I'm like, what? I don't know what I was trying to say. Delete the sentence.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I was going with that.
Don't worry about it. I do that a lot. That's why I was amazed when you were able to keep the point of view thing after we lost it the first time. I was like, ooh. I was amazed I was able to come back with, oh, this is what we were talking about. and one of your TikToks, because for a long time I was like, maybe I have an issue. Maybe I have early dementia or something, because my brain will be like, I'll forget completely what I'm doing. Then oh no, Ralph, it's writer's brain. I'm like, what?
Oh, the sometimes I forget how to word.
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I'll sit there going, what word am I supposed to be using?
I will walk around yelling at everybody. It's this, and when a person does that and they're yelling words at me, and I'm like, no, it starts with a P.
And it's so funny because you got the definition of the word, but you don't have the word. And you're sitting there telling people, I know the definition is this. And then they give you a ton of words that are not what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's not it. And it hits you at 3 o'clock in the morning every time.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
So Naja, you're working on this. You're doing all this stuff. And, I've enjoyed the convention through its multiple phases and different things. I love the online version that you did. I really like what you've set up for this year, and I love the fact that you stepped up your game. You're actually like, I know you are in a zone right now, and I can tell by how tired you are, where you're like, I hope this goes right. What made you like go this far? Because you could have just like upped it up a little bit and been fine. What made you go, okay, let's go completely out there?
I would definitely say what made me up it was because it was our 5th year, and I felt like, you know what, for most businesses, 5 years is a big deal. And so I think any type of business, group, what type of celebration, 5 years is like an important thing. So I thought, you know what, if I can up it, why not? And if I can up it without breaking any pockets or bones, why not? Because definitely I'd be doing too much whenever it comes down to it. You have seen me around
oh yeah
running around. And
You are everywhere,
overexhausted
and
myself.
dude, man. Like I said, I was surprised we were able to stop you for a second and do the interview because you were covering like 10 things at the same time.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta go here. Oh, I gotta go here. I'm like, oh, okay, you caught me now. Okay, blah 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 blah. As soon as I finished, I was like, all right, pew, I'm going somewhere else now.
Yeah, you were gone. And
Yeah.
then and then it's like you appeared on the stage, you did your thing, you disappeared, you came back to the stage. I'm like, how is she getting back to the stage?
I'm quick. I'm quick when need be.
So
I turn
are
into
you
a
going to be in
flash.
cosplay? Because I know it's a little more difficult for you because you're the boss and you're running around. Are you going to be in cosplay on Saturday?
Saturday, I won't be in cosplay, but I will be dressed in J fashion. So I will be wearing a kimono part of the day, and then the other part of the day, I'll be dressed in either like Japanese Lolita styled outfit. The other half of the day, if possible. I don't know if it's gonna happen that way. I might just end up wearing a GOASI t-shirt and some pants
Nobody
for
will
the
blame
whole
you.
day.
Nobody will blame
Which
you.
is yeah, which is fine. But that's the goal, is for me to wear a kimono for part of the day and the other half of the day to wear a Lolita dress. Most likely either a classic Lolita or a gothic Lolita dress. But definitely I'm excited. I'm tired. I'm so sorry if it's now
Don't
draining
worry.
on me.
We
My
like I said,
day
we
job
know enough
is a
showrunners to know exactly
therapist.
where you are right now. I'm actually surprised because most showrunners that we invite to the show on a Wednesday, they're like, Ralph, we can't show up on a Wednesday right before the con.
I make time.
And we would understand if you weren't here because there's a lot of preparing that happens. I feel like one of the things that again, same thing with writing, the audience doesn't realize how much preparation goes to these conventions because they go to the convention and they see what it is, but there's so much behind the scenes happening.
Yeah. There's a lot of prepping, there's a lot of scheduling, there's a lot of organizing, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of emailing, texting, Instagramming, a lot of like creating of flyers, posts. There's a lot of team meetings. Like there's a lot that goes into it. I wish people knew how much goes into it, because I think they would be a little bit more understanding, but I also understand as a con goer why they wouldn't be understanding, because they just want to enjoy it, and my job is just to bring that enjoyment to them.
Like it's funny that you say that about the cosplay, about putting costumes on, because I love to cosplay, but I know as the guy doing interviews, and I'll give it to other people who can do it. I wouldn't be able to concentrate if I'm wearing a costume and trying to do my job.
Yeah.
It sounds like it should be an easy combination of both, but in all fairness, my ADHD would never allow me to do anything like that. I got to do one or the other.
Oh, that makes sense.
The interviewing or I do the costume.
No, it makes sense. Even like if as a regular, like going just to conventions and stuff like that, or cosplaying. I think I've cosplayed every year so far since I've had the convention.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways it makes me incognito, because they'll see me on stage with like my GOASI t-shirt and some pants, and I'd be like, hey everybody, thank you so much for coming, we're gonna have a great time, blah 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 blah, opening ceremony, bam, and then I leave and I go put on my cosplay, and then people forget who I am, and I'm like, okay, now I can go about and no one will stop me. But then people will stop me because I'll be in cosplay and they want to take a picture, and I have a hard time saying no.
I feel you. Like when I used to, because Kadma would do the costumes for us, and then I would take care of all the other stuff, and it would make it easier because all she had to worry about was interviews and costume, and then I would take care of all the behind the scenes stuff and the camera work and all that. So it allowed her to stay in costume, and it was a good combination. You get Kadma in the costume and her badass self, and then I'll just make sure everything else works.
You cursed.
Huh?
You cursed.
I cursed ages ago, bro.
No, we were doing so well. We were doing so well. You don't even understand. We were doing well.
Well, like I said, I'll probably be the first one to do it. All right, folks. So I can see we're at the top of the hour. I think we are, because we're all askew now. So Naja, tell everybody where they can find you, all the good things, especially this weekend where we will be at Geek Out at Staten Island, enjoying ourselves. And I'll have Floof say something in a minute. So Floof, you prepare yourself. Right now, Naja, you go.
Sure. So you can find the convention at GOASI so GOASI_con on Instagram. It'll link you to our link tree that has all of our other social media on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me on EONSI_designs or EONC_designs. And you can see us on Saturday at Snug Harbor in Staten Island from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And you have it, folks. We will be there at Geeking Out in Staten Island. Dude, Snug Harbor is beautiful. This is a double pleasure. When you go to this place, you're going to enjoy the scenery, you're going to enjoy the convention, you're going to enjoy the fun. And, as you heard from Naja, that she already has this big thing planned out. So go enjoy it.
Yes, come.
And Tania, go ahead, tell everybody where they can find you, all the good stuff, because they really do need to take out your TikToks.
So I'm on TikTok at Tania L. Ramos _writer lady. That's where I'm most active. I do have a Facebook account. I can't remember what that is. It's Tania L. Ramos Books, I believe. And I'm not active. I'm not very active on the other platforms. TikTok and Facebook seem to be the best ones, so that's where you'll find me.
That's so funny because I was able to find you on Instagram, but I wasn't able to find you on Facebook.
Somebody else found me on Instagram too. She's like, this one? I was like, really? I have 3 followers. How'd you find me there?
It's so funny because like on Instagram, I plugged your name in and it popped up right away. On Facebook, it's like, do you mean all these other Tanias? I was like, fine, be like that. I'll find you. I'll make it my job. That's what we do. We research.
There you go. You'll find me.
Yes, folks, writers love to research, and I love a good hunt. So, Floof, now we're going to showcase you here a little bit, Floof, because you're going to be at Geeking Out Staten Island this weekend. This is going to be your first show that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited for you. So, Floof, tell the people who you are and what you do. Did Floof go away?
No, she's there.
Did she forget to unmute?
No, she's just choosing not to.
All right, kid, come on. You come in, you do this, and you're out. Go for it. It's so funny. We do it worse than she does it, so. I feel like she stepped away. Oh, wait. Oh, she's having trouble.
Hold on. Get out. All right. So in the meantime,
go for it.
There are other people who are also going to be
yes,
that you should also check out their interviews over on the channel, such as the wonderful Aquaces, Star U, Chemfest, and Ralph has done videos with Steph and Stuff. So check those people out while you're over there. And also, on your way to GOASI, GOASI.
GOASI, yeah, you're good.
GOASI, cool. In the Staten Island Ferry Terminal, there's also Banyani
Mall. The Empire Mall attached to the ferry.
It's right there. It's the same thing. on their advertisement, they say the terminal, okay? They don't say the mall. They say the terminal. So if you want...
Guys, I'm back.
I had a feeling she was having trouble. Go ahead, Floof, and that'll continue in a second. Tell the people who you are, what you do, all the good stuff. We are excited for you that you're going to be geeking out at Staten Island, and this will be your first time tabling.
It will be. I've been to a lot of conventions, and I've seen the vendors. I've seen like the tiredness in their eyes, but also the passion because of their work and everything that they do. And now that's going to be me. So I've got some anxiety, just a little bit, But that's going to manifest itself as just positive energy as best I can, hoping for good weather so that we can get this done on Saturday, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like Sunday outings. So I'm really hoping that the rain doesn't bother us so that we can have a good time. All the cosplayers can have a good time, and the vendors and the people who are coming to show off their dancing, and just everyone overall just enjoying themselves for however many weeks we have until back to school starts.
Yeah, we gotta enjoy the summer while we can.
I can't
You know,
believe it's
especially as
August
adults.
already.
Especially as adults, because summer doesn't mean anything like it used to mean something. Like when you were
It
in school,
does
it
not.
meant something.
It
As an
doesn't.
adult,
It
it don't
really
mean
doesn't.
nothing. It's just another work week. And of course, these are all beautiful Flushmallow pieces, and you're gonna have some new stuff at the event itself, right?
Hopefully, I will. I will.
Basically,
As
everything
long as
is going to be
everything,
new.
as long as everything works out fine, I should have new things that haven't even been seen on my Instagram, which I promise I will try to be more frequent at posting on. I'm not just a hermit. I have obligations outside of Instagram, but I will try to post more content so that things won't be dead. I promise.
Yeah, Floof, we know you're busy, so don't worry about it. And you do a lot of work. Besides the fact that you are an artist, you do all the stuff that you do, and that's not easy stuff. So, you are balancing out things pretty well. You know, just keep up the good work.
Just trying to keep everything together and not fall apart. But you guys are giving me life right now, so I'm just going to try my best to keep things going. I might not be a writer, but I still feel that energy.
Dude, that creative
Nice.
energy goes through all the arts. You know, whether it's art, writing, whatever it is. It is not an easy thing, and it's not an easy thing to live with. People think being creative is something that they want to be until they are, and then they're like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, That's why most of us are unhinged.
This is true.
I just gravitate towards everybody. It's like, oh, you're unhinged. Great. We don't have to say it because we
Exactly.
kind of, like, feel it. We feel it inside. We just know.
I think the creatives understand one thing: everybody's crazy in a certain way or another. Anybody that tells you they're not crazy is trying to sell you something, and you don't trust those people.
I'm not crazy.
Exactly.
I want to be crazy. They locked me in a room. In a rubber room filled with rats.
Oh,
And the rats made me crazy. Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room with rats.
But you're much
And the
better
rats
now.
made me crazy.
So, Mr. Nat, as you're going off into your lunacy there, let the folks know what's happening at the ferry station this weekend with a Bayani.
So there is a Filipino creator-centric convention happening either in the terminal or in the mall. They just said ferry terminal. But along your way to GOASI, you can also check out that convention as you make your way or wait for the bus to show up, because we all know Staten Island buses, am I right? So
That's why we do less and less events there.
But once you're on the bus, it's not so bad. It's like a 10-minute.
Oh,
bus
dude,
ride.
that's the beautiful
if
thing
it's
about
not
the buses.
packed.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing about the buses. Once you're on the bus, you're gonna get to where you're gonna go, and you're definitely getting there. And the good thing about Snug Harbor is that it's not much of a walk from the ferry station.
It's not.
It's a good walk, but it's not much of a walk.
And there's two buses that take you there. There's the S40 and there's the S44 that takes you to Snug Harbor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
One just takes you to the front and one just takes you to the back.
Which side would you prefer us to enter in through?
Good question.
The closest one is probably in the back close to Henderson, so that would be the S44.
There you go.
You got all the secrets here, folks. That's why you come to the show, because you get the secrets, and now you know how to get there easier. Of course.
So I'm just going to do. Oh, all right.
Go ahead. I'm just
going to give a short, brief description of like a couple other cons in the area. There is Long Island Retro Gaming Con if you're out over there and don't feel like making the trip all the way over to Invisible Island of the Burrows.
We are unforgettable, okay?
I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a video of like a guy walking around Manhattan asking people where were the 5 boroughs, and nobody could list Staten Island.
It's so bad. It's so
That is
bad.
messed up. It's so funny because you know Staten Island has tried to secede from New York a couple times, and New York goes, "Why do you want us to secede?" I'm like, "Because you make Staten Island feel like the long lost stepchild."
Yes, yes, you do.
There's beautiful things in Staten Island. You know,
Yes,
it's a good
there
place to get
is.
lost and have fun.
Don't feel bad, Staten Island. We treat the Bronx the same way.
The Bronx don't
because,
exist.
I think the worst thing about the Bronx is Yonkers gets like added into the Bronx right away, and I'm like, it's a different place.
Nobody adds Yonkers into the Bronx. Yonkers is better than the Bronx. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Adds Yonkers into the Bronx. Oh, what are you a Yonkers? Oh, the Bronx.
So, anyways, Long Island Retro. That's happening this weekend. There's a convention in the Bronx too, as well, but I don't remember the name.
I didn't even know there was a convention in the Bronx. I'm sorry, Bronx people. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
Yeah, folks, there's a lot of stuff to do this weekend here in New York. You know, but make sure you're at Snug Harbor because that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Be on Staten Island this weekend. There's 2 cons at least. Okay, you get your pay.
And if you want to go to Retro, you can always go on Friday or Sunday because there's 2 other days for Retro. There's only 1 day for geeking out at Staten Island.
And also 1 day for Bayani.
That's true. But at least that's on your way to the other convention.
That's what I'm saying. You get 2 choices.
You can do both.
You get 2 choices. You could do one while you wait for the bus. I see no problem. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and Bayani is a small con, so you guys get in, you check it out, and you come back out. There you go.
Oh yeah, there's also FlameCon. That's the one I was forgetting.
Oh, that's right. FlameCon is this weekend. You're right.
Crystal Hearted Cat is going to be there, and she's the only one who I know that's going to be there.
Who's going to be there?
Crystal Hearted Cat, the one who's right behind me right now.
Interesting. Glitch Bitch is going to be there.
There we go. 2 people. You also cursed.
All right, folks. One last thing. You may be wondering, who the heck is Shadow Rabbit? And I will show you right now who the beautiful Shadow Rabbit man is himself. Of course, I got it running right here. There's Shadow Rabbit's booth. He is the man himself who does all the beautiful stuff. He just came off his trip to Terrificon and doing all the beautiful things he does over there at Terrificon, making his beautiful figures because he makes amazing figures. You guys want to make your characters come to life? Shadow Man is the man to talk to. Go talk to Shadow Rabbit Clay Guy, and he can make or commission your dreams into reality. Because the Shadow Man knows how to work.
Indeed, he does.
You have it. A little story on who the Shadow Man is, who Shadow Rabbit is. He had just come back from. It came from the radio because he was doing a live show with them on Wednesday, having fun over there and doing their thing at the East Meadow Public Library. All right, folks. I think that is everything. Make sure you join us at Geeking Out at Staten Island this weekend because we will be there. We will be having lots of fun. Floof will be tabling, and we will be covering the location from all points and showing you why you should be at Geek Out at Staten Island. Folks, anything you guys want to say before we go?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tania,
Thank you.
Naja, it was a pleasure having you both. I loved the conversation. Happy you guys stuck through all the craziness that happened today. And folks, sometimes stuff happens. Just keep moving forward. And of course, we'll do here what we always do. I'll press the